Hello and welcome to Slick Willy Flying. What we're going to do today is a Flatwing Muddler. So I know what you're thinking, oh my god, deer hair. But please, do not fear the deer. This is a very simple 2 material fly. Actually three because I'm going to include the flash. You don't need to put eyes on it, but I put eyes. You want to count the eyes, we're up to 4 amazing materials. So this is an awesome fly. It combines 2 awesome flies in a muddler minnow and a flatwing, and I think together it's just a perfect combination. It's great. This particular fly is tied for inshore for chasing giant brown trout, but you can easily tie this in a saltwater version. Will work just as good. So let's change the camera angle, have a sip of our cocktail. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's tie a fly. Alright, so let's get started. So for a hook, I'm going to be using a size 4 streamer hook. This is a mustad hook for fresh water. It is, I believe, the 34011. And it's just a little bit of a longer shank, which is why I like this this hook. The first thing I'm going to start, the first material, it's going to be a little bit of lead thread, 0.20 lead thread. And again, like I've always said, I don't really count wraps. I'm going to put on about, give or take, 5 or 6 millimeters. And not really sure if that's, 10 wraps, 12 wraps. I don't know. It's about that amount right there. And I'm going to go about, it's hard to explain. I would say that's about the center of the shank. So the back end of my lead is about the center of the shank. And I am going to give it a little touch of super glue. Just because I don't want it to move. Have a sip while I'm waiting for that. We can talk materials real quick while that's drying a little bit. So I have this grizzly olive cape right here. And I went ahead and I plucked 4 feathers. And I've already pre-prepped my feathers. There's 4 of them. They look just like that. And for deer hair, I have 2 colors. I have natural and I have brown. Might use just brown, might blend. In this first fly, I blended colors. I started with brown and then I finished with a lighter natural. And I think that looks very nice. But the all brown also looks very nice. And for flash, I just have a little bit of Flashabou and gold. And then for eyes, I have these living eyes in fire. So that's pretty much all the materials I'm going to use. For thread, I'm using 6.0 Vivis in olive. But you can easily use white. You can use pretty much anything. In fact, more and more, I only buy white thread. Because then I can just take a marker and make it whatever color I want. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and attach my first feather. Now, because this is a flat wing, what is a flat wing? A flat wing is when we attach the feathers flat instead of on knife edge. Pretty self-explanatory. And I don't know if you've ever heard of a flat wing or if this is something you already tie, but a lot of people, myself included, will tell you that if you're fishing a flat wing and your friends or whoever you're with is not, odds are you're going to get more bites. Because there's something really magical about the way the flash reacts when you're fishing a flat wing. And what we do is we attach a feather, like I'm doing now, carefully. And once you're happy with it, and you crank it down, like I am now, nice and flat, just like that. And I'm going to cut this little tag. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of flash. So the flash is going to get layered in between feathers. Now I'm going to put, you'll see how I do it. I will, after this piece of flash, which I'm going to take a full strand, fold in half, and then I'm going to just apply it so that it's not too long, right on top of, easiest way oftentimes is just to go ahead and put it on my thread, and I'm just going to take it right on top of that fly, on top of that feather, I'm sorry, right on top. And now I can just trim the length. The length is a little bit shorter than the feather. Just like that, perfect. Now I'm going to take another feather, I'm going to put it right on top. And a lot of people will say that this way of attaching the feathers and the flash make for a much more realistic, the way the flash will shine will make it look much more like a natural bait fish. And I mean, I don't swim under the water chasing my flies, so I can't tell you if that's true or not, but I know that I get a lot of bites, and bites are what matters to me. So now, instead of putting another layer of flash, I'm actually going to put another feather. I'm going to double up the middle feathers, and then I'm going to put another flash. Just like that. This is coming out just perfect. So now I'm going to have the last piece of flash. I'm going to do it the exact same way. I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the thread. It's pretty much too long, so you don't have to get crazy about being even, but you want to make sure that you're at least remotely close to even. And I'm going to go ahead and lock it nice and hard, just like that. And again, I'm going to trim it so it's just a little short of the tips. And now I put on the last feather, and we're more than halfway done. You know, the only part of this fly that takes a little time is the trimming of the deer hair. It's really not that big a deal. Beautiful. That came out. Couldn't ask for that to be better. That came out as perfect as that could be. So now I'm going to go ahead and put a little thread base down, because I think the super glue's had enough time to dry. Alright, so now I'm going to get a clump of the brown deer hair. I don't know why, but I always love to start with a little darker deer hair towards the back. Now, this fly could be tied in tons of different colors. I mean, you know, it's just using your imagination. A color combo that I love is black and purple. I have purple deer hair, deer body hair. That just looks awesome. The tips are a little bit lighter than the length of the deer hair, and it just has this awesome look. That's a great tip I can give you. Whenever I go into a fly shop, I always go check out all the deer hair and bucktails and everything, because that's something I really don't like to purchase online. And if I see anything that's nice, I buy it, even if I don't need it, especially if it's in the whites or the tans, because I use a lot of that. Alright, so I've pulled out all the shorts and the super long guard hair. And now I'm just going to place this the length that I like, which is a little bit long. I want it to wrap around that feather. So I'm going to do two very soft wraps. I'm going to start using my fingers to distribute around the hook, just like that, all the way around the hook in both directions. Now, I think it's important, I don't want this to over flare in this first clump. So I'm going to do a bunch of soft wraps, just like that, because I don't want it to flare too much. And now I can pull that tight, and yes, that all flared behind where I was tying, but in front of where I was tying, it didn't flare too badly. And I do need to distribute a little bit around the hook. Just like that. Now what I'm going to do now is, because this is now pretty well locked in, so I'm going to trim all these shorter ends. And you'll notice that I never trim on the same size as my thread. So I'm just carefully trimming, not cutting any of those tips off. You don't really have to do this. I just think it ends up giving it a much nicer look. Alright, so now you have a decision. You could put on more brown, or you can start with the tan. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and put on one more, at least one more of the darker brown, and then maybe I switch to the tan. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut a clump of the brown. You know, I know a lot of people get a little bit lazy and they get bigger clumps because they don't want to stack. And that's fine. You can do that. I don't mind stacking. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring my thread back up. I'm going to lay this so that the tips are not longer. A couple of loose wraps again. Distribute around. But this time, I'm going to go ahead and let this spin up. Just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and try to push it back as good as I can, wiggling the thread through and pushing it back, pushing it back, and pushing it back. Need to get my hook in there a little better. Just like that. That came out good. You know, the harder you stack deer hair, the more the fly will float. Keep that in mind. If you want the fly not to ride super high, you want to let some water get through it. All right, so now I am going to switch to the tan. And this particular patch of tan I have, the deer hair is a little shorter, but that's not really a problem. I do take out all these little fuzzies though, always. So now we're just gonna put it on there, and a couple of loose wraps, just like before. using my thumb, using my fingers, I'm just gonna go ahead and distribute this and spin it up. Just like that. And again, we do the same method, just kind of bringing it back. And as we're bringing it back, we're working the thread through the hair and forward. And I think it'd be at least one more clump. I think one more clump is gonna do it. And then starts the part that's actually the most fun, and it's the part that terrifies everybody, the trimming. Just remember that take it slow till you've done a few. You can never put hair back. It's the tip that you have to just always remember. Once you cut it, it's cut. It's good to also have an idea of how you want it to look before you start trimming. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. So now it's just a whip finish, or you can do half hitches, whatever feels good for you. I'm gonna go ahead and get my whip finish tool out because I have the room. And we'll put a little whip finish in this guy. Could put another clump, but that's fine. This will work. I'm gonna give it 2 whip finishes because I'm not gonna be using any UV resin. I really want to make sure that knot stays good and hard. All right. So now what I'm gonna do, a lot of people use a curved razor blade, which is by far a better option, but I don't have a sharp one. So I'm gonna take a flat razor blade and we're gonna make this work. But first we're gonna talk about shape. Now, you can make this any shape you like. I should have had a few more just to show. This happens to be the shape that I like. I like this torpedo tapering out kind of a shape. So that's the shape that I'm gonna go for. And but you can make it a more of a flat head and a little bit more round. You really can do anything you want. It's up to your imagination and how much you want to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and start on the bottom, and all I'm gonna do is take my razor blade and kind of at an angle, just gently start peeling it away. And I'm gonna go at this, try to keeping the same angle. And I'm just gonna try to work the beginning. And once I take, I say 1 lap or all the way around 1 time, I stop and I just kind of peel away a little bit, see how it looks, and then I take a little more. And I just do this nice and slow until I feel like the fly is taking the shape that I want. All right, well, I won't say it's perfect, but this is a fishing fly, and I don't like tie flies for competitiveness, or I tie flies for me to take fishing. And this is plenty nice for fishing. So the last step that I'm gonna do with this fly, I'm gonna go ahead and put some eyes on. And for this fly, I've chosen to use 4mm living eyes in fire. This is the color, which is in the reds, right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get one ready. And by getting it, they're so small that I gotta use a needle or something to place these. So I put it on a needle first, just like that. And then I get my super glue out. And I put a little touch of super glue right where I want the eye to sit. Give it a little extra. I really don't want this eye to come off. And then I just bring the eye over and go ahead and place it, and I never ever use my fingers. I just kind of push it down just like that. Now I'm going to roll this over. I get another eye ready. I've had a lot of luck doing eyes like this. They last for a bunch of fish. Every now and then I'll lose an eye. I don't really sweat it too much. If I lose one, I can always come home and glue another one on. As long as the fly itself stays in good shape. Just like that. It's going to be close enough to in the right place. Push it down a little. And that's it. Probably spend a little bit more time fine-tuning the trim job. Welcome back. So there it is, Flatwing Muddler. I mean, I'm probably going to trim it a little more just because I'm kind of nuts, but it's absolutely not necessary. This fly will fish. You could have fished this without the eyes. And it just catches fish. I think these big streamers are just awesome when chasing big brown trout. I guess it's the old saying, big bait, big fish. So thank you for watching. Thank you for having a cocktail with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I have other flatwing videos and I have other muddler minnow videos. So check out my videos and hope you enjoy this. Don't forget Slick Willy is on Instagram. So thanks a lot for watching. Good luck catching.